Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another First Impressions video. In today's First Impressions video, we are taking a look at the Palmetto State Armory PA10 Gen 2. I'm very excited to say that this is the first ever testing and evaluation gun we have received on the channel. Now, you guys know I have always purchased from Palmetto State Armory in the past. I have a ton of uppers from them and have never had an issue. Just recently, I actually started working with Palmetto State Armory and allowing you guys a way to support the channel and also get some cool products from Palmetto State. And the way that's done is just simply through links to their website on my Firearm Freedom Facebook page that you guys can click on, buy some really cool stuff, and I get some kickbacks from those links. So obviously, full disclosure, they did send me this gun free of charge. How the testing and evaluation process works is I basically can get this gun for about 30 to 45 days, and if I choose to purchase it at the end of that 30 to 45 days, I can purchase it or I can simply send it back. And you guys know I always do 100% unbiased and honest reviews. I had a couple of questions for the individual that I talked to at Palmetto State Armory, and his answers is what made me have absolutely no doubts in getting a T&E gun and just made me love their company that much more. And really my main question that I had for that individual was, how do you guys feel if a gun is performing negatively? How do you handle that in the review process? Because that means a lot to me. You guys know I'm never going to accept things in and just do a positive review to get kickbacks from a specific company. The response was awesome. Basically what that individual told me was, if our guns are performing negatively, not only do I want you to make a review about it still, but I actually want you to make a negative review to allow us to adapt our product and make it better, which made me understand that they're just simply looking to get feedback on their product. And because of that response, I had absolutely no issue with getting in a T&E gun because I knew that they wanted 100% unbiased, honest opinions in their video, and that just made me love their company even more. So good on PSA for that response, and that is why you see a PA10 Gen 2 here on the table for T&E right now. In this First Impressions video, we fired a total of 240 rounds, and guys, I'm not gonna lie, my shoulder was definitely feeling that after 240 rounds of .308. The recoil on this guy is fairly stout. It's what you would expect on an AR-10. I know there have been a lot of accounts online of people saying this gun is over-gassed. And the reason for that is because Palmetto State Armory decided to go with a mid-length gas system instead of a rifle-length gas. I'm not exactly sure why they went with mid-length instead of rifle-length gas system, but ultimately I didn't feel that it was that crazy over-gassed. Now, out of that 240 rounds, it wasn't 100% perfect. I did run it with my Silencer Co. Omega suppressor on the end, and I ran it off of direct thread mount that you see here. Once I put the suppressor on, it fired about a mag and a half with absolutely no issues. Keep in mind, this was after we had already fired about 80 to 100 rounds. Now, after that mag and a half, I had 4 malfunctions that were the exact same type. And that malfunction was a failure to extract, the case turned around, got stuck in the ejection port, and that caused a failure to feed because the next live round tried to come up underneath of it and it would get really jammed up in there. I had to really pull on that spent casing to get it out. And then for whatever reason after that, it ran fine. So I'm not exactly sure what caused that. You'll be seeing that in the back roll right now. And my guess is that it was just simply a little bit too over-gassed with the suppressor on, and maybe that extractor was getting off of the case too early because too much pressure going back, and that causing the round to kind of spiral out of control. I was noticing as well with the suppressor on that the rounds were not ejecting as strongly as without the suppressor. So once I had it on, I kind of looked out of the corner of my eye and realized the rounds were kind of just trickling out the side, and you can see that in the back roll. So I'm not exactly sure why this happened, but without the suppressor on, the gun performed 100%. There were absolutely no issues, no malfunctions of any type, but still out of 40 rounds running the gun suppressed, which I know isn't a ton, we only had 4 malfunctions, which really isn't a huge deal. And out of the total day, out of 240 rounds, those 4 malfunctions with the suppressor on really don't look like that big of a deal at all. So I'm not going to hit the rifle that much for reliability. As you see, this PA10 Gen 2 here on the camera is pretty much 100% as you will see it out of box. I've only added a couple of different things for this review, but I wanted to keep it as stock as possible for the first impressions video. Really, the only things that I have added was this Magpul bipod, which I will be doing a later review on in the future, and also my Primary Arms HUD 4-14x44 optic. This optic is pretty sweet, but unfortunately, with the recoil of this 308, even though I Loctited all of the screws down and had them torqued properly before the video, after about 100 rounds, all of these screws came loose, and I actually realized as I was shooting, my optic was shifting to the rear and rotating side to side. Of course, I did not have the proper tools with me to actually tighten this guy back down, so I had to use a micro Swiss Army knife that just fit into these Torx head bolts enough to tighten it so that I can continue shooting for the day. But be aware, before I did the accuracy testing, this happened. So when I was doing accuracy testing, I was constantly tightening the screws after every single magazine fired, and it may have affected the accuracy, but when we get to it in a little bit, I was still pretty impressed with all the variables that were happening in this range day. Palmetto State Armory does ship this gun with a Magpul ACS stock. I think this is an excellent choice from the factory. It gives you a lot of benefits here. You do have storage compartments in the right-hand side of the stock. I don't really use this for anything, but if you did want to put some foam in here with some batteries, that would probably be a good choice. You do get your standard adjustability with this stock, so it allows you to really fill that role of a DMR style rifle, but on top of that, you do have this locking lever here, which is going to really tighten the stock when you're trying to get accurate shots downrange. But overall, I may be getting a fixed stock on this guy in the future. Moving back from the stock, you can see our castle nut here is properly staked to our end plate on the receiver, which is always a great thing. We do have just a standard charging handle, not extended at all. I didn't have a huge issue with this, but I will be switching this out in the future. And then moving down, we have Palmetto State Armory's take on a pistol grip here, and it is a rubberized grip. Ultimately, I didn't like this grip too much. I think it started slipping on me. It was a hot range day and my hands were sweating and I really started losing traction on this grip. So I will be switching this out as well for either a BCM or a Magpul grip. Now, moving on to the trigger, I was actually pretty impressed. This is just their standard Palmetto State Armory nickel boron trigger, and it was pretty damn good for just a nickel-coated mil-spec trigger. As far as our brake here, we have a slight amount of take-up, and guys, it's still a mil-spec poundage trigger, but it's just quite a bit smoother. So you got a little bit of crunchy take-up here, and then you're gonna hit your brake right about there. Now your reset, same deal, is gonna be very mil-spec feeling, but it's much smoother. And the brake again. Ultimately, when I was trying to get accurate shots downrange at the 100-yard mark, I didn't really have any issues at all with this trigger. But in the future, I will be probably switching this out to a Geisley or a CMC or Timney or something like that, just because of the role that I want this rifle to be in. You do have a full rifle length free float M-LOK rail system, which is phenomenal. And you also have an 18-inch or an option for a 20-inch free-floated stainless barrel. And I think ultimately one of the most impressive things about this rifle is the price point that they come out at. With all of the stuff you're getting here, and with the accuracy and reliability that I saw at the range, for only $749, that is a killer deal. Not only that, you can find build kits on Palmetto State's website for even cheaper, sometimes around like $450 minus the lower receiver for the entire build kit, and all you got to do is buy the lower and put it together. That is an insane value when you look at other AR-10s on the market today that easily reach the minimum $1,200 amount and sometimes go past the $2,000 amount. Now, obviously, there will be varying degrees of accuracy increases with those rifles, but what we're going to see right now is I was very impressed with the accuracy out of box with this gun. I did not use any match grade ammo. This was the first set of groups that I shot. Now, keep in mind, this was after I had already fired about 100 rounds, so the gun was pretty hot, and I was only using Federal XM80 ammunition, which is just standard mil-spec brass, nothing special at all. And also, my mount had just got loose, so it wasn't even that tight. We were averaging with this ammunition about a 2-inch to 3-inch group, and some were a little bit rough at 3.5. And you could see here, one of our first groups, this was getting the rifle sighted in, was 3.5 inches. We have a 3-inch group off to the left-hand side there. another 3.5-inch group there. In the middle, we brought it back down to 2 inches, and our best group with this ammunition at 100 yards was 1.5 inches. And then also we have another 2-inch group over here where the paper got a little bit ripped up. So overall, with mil-spec brass at 100 yards, after all of those factors were brought into play, I was pretty impressed with that. We did try another type of just mil-spec ammunition, and it was actually German surplus ammunition, and this shot actually even better. We had 2 groups that were 1.25 inches. That's going to be this group up here in the right-hand corner. Not bad at all. Now, it did open up here a little bit in the middle, and I will be completely honest, this was me. I pulled this lower shot. I absolutely felt it when I pulled that trigger, and my shoulder was really killing me by this point. I know you guys are going to call me weak for that one. We have a 2-inch group here on the bottom right, and another 1.25 group where I landed 2 shots almost in the exact same hole. Ultimately, guys, with that little amount of accuracy testing with stock mil-spec ammo, getting an 1.25 MOA is awesome out of a rifle that's $749 for an AR-10. You can't really beat that. And I'm going to be doing another video in the future on just simply accuracy testing a couple of different match grade loads to see what this rifle in particular really can do. After I brought the rifle home, stripped it down, cleaned it, I did notice something that was a little bit concerning, but may just be normal wear. In taking apart the bolt carrier group and cleaning it after 240 rounds fired, I did notice some interesting wear around the bolt head. You guys are going to notice in some macro footage that I'll be throwing on in the back roll that it has some very strange slight amounts of wear in the left-hand corners of the bottom of the lugs of the bolt head. And I'm not sure how well the camera will be picking that up, but you can see some shiny metal on about half of the locking lugs here. It's not to the point where it's mushrooming out, which would indicate a soft bolt. I've been hearing from a couple of buddies of mine that have similar rifles that this wear is fairly normal, but I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments what you think. Ultimately, what I'm going to do to test this to see if it really is an issue is just simply shoot it more and see if that wear progresses. If it does not progress and stay in the exact same spot, then I'm going to know it's just simply the rifle breaking in properly and wearing in the spots that it's going to wear in. But if it does continue, it may mean that I have a soft bolt, and that would be something you would have to replace, obviously, and that would definitely indicate an issue with the rifle. Now, another area of wear, and this is something that I know is absolutely normal on this style of AR-10 receiver, and it's going to be wear on where the buffer tube goes into the lower receiver. You'll notice wear on the right and left hand side. This I have seen on pretty much every other AR-10 with this DPMS style lower receiver, and it's gonna wear there. It's gonna get a little bit chewed up. That is totally normal from what I have seen on other AR-10s of this type. So overall, guys, I am very impressed with this rifle. I think you wouldn't go wrong at all at the price point that this comes in at. And you guys know it's backed by Palmetto State Armory's lifetime warranty. So if it does have any issues, they will cover you for it. But ultimately, I'm excited to see how this rifle is going to perform with more rounds downrange. And if it keeps going the way that it's going right now, I definitely foresee myself purchasing this rifle after the T&E process. But you guys will be able to get updated on that in the next video. If you have any other further questions about this particular rifle and how it performed at the range, go ahead and drop your questions down in the comment section, and you guys know I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, check out that first link in the description to figure out how you can support what I do here on the Firearm Freedom channel. In that description, there will also be links to the Firearm Freedom Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram account. Give those a follow if you really enjoy seeing cool gun pictures and content that is just not here on the YouTube channel. If you enjoy the content that's coming out here on my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I'm posting every single month. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos to come soon.